The ideas that gave birth to our nation are the ideas that our nation is resistant to right now, and we should talk about that all the time.
In a world where narratives are shaped by corporations and gatekeepers, independent voices matter more than ever. Badlands Media brings together citizen journalists, researchers, and independent thinkers.
The truth is triggering.
Question the narrative. Explore the facts.
It's authenticity, courage, resilience.
Search for the truth others won't.
It's not about being first or being right.
The information war is changing.
It's about being authentic.
Embrace the friction.
Embrace the friction.
Shut the f*** up.
Authentically antagonizing. Join the movement.
I'm going to say how I feel.
Follow Badlands Media.
This is about the future.
The Badlands. What are the Badlands? Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
The following stream has been approved for truth seekers by the DEFCON Truth Alliance.
If the opinion that's coming out needs people to be silenced, it's a psyop. There are psychological operations in play.
So if you can't question it, if you're supposed to just go along, it's a psyop.
Yeah, and if people have to be silenced or publicly shamed because of their information, and they're not telling people the sky's falling, they're not saying crazy shit. Mm-hmm. They're just saying basic stuff, and they need to be silenced. That is a psyop.
There's a war out there, old friend. A world war. And it's not about who's got the most bullets. It's about who controls the information. What we see and hear, how we work, what we think. It's all about the information.
Running through the dark, nowhere left to hide. Battle lines are drawn, taste the smoke and fire.
We're the ones that were on the ground. We're the ones that are actually reporting what's going on.
Patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
We have an Insurrection Act for a reason.
This is warfare. This is warfare.
That's a psyop.
Bad guy can't win. It's a morality tale.
This is warfare. This is warfare.
The eyes see and the ears hear, the mind believes.
This is warfare. This is warfare. Goodbye. You can run, but you can't hide.
It's gotta be biblical.
One by one, one by one, say goodbye. One by one, say goodbye. One by one, say goodbye. You can run, but this is warfare. This is
What's up, brother?
What is up, Alpha Warrior? Man.
I learned that us as men can definitely multitask because I went in and took care of business while I was eating at the same time because I knew we had a show to get to. So I was like, Reid, go consume some food so you have some fuel, relieve yourself so your bladder is not an issue, and get in here. And did it almost in enough time. But dude,
120 minutes late.
Seconds.
120 seconds. Yeah, 120 seconds late. 120 minutes would have been bad. I'd been calling you like, what the hell, dude? But man, what's going on in the world? I mean, you know, I don't know if anybody's been watching this show for a little while. They'd be looking at what's happening with Iran and going, holy, where did I hear all this shit was going to happen? Like it's like it's happening. Like, I can't believe it. We actually knew what we were talking about.
You know what? You just reminded me of something that I wanted to show it on my show and I completely forgot about it. So I'm going to show it on this show. So buy me like 20 seconds.
I can buy you 20 seconds because there's actually a few things I want to put out there.
Okay.
Number one, so Dan Scavino a while back, a few weeks ago, he indicated that the end was coming, right? He put out this post right here. This one, every journey has an end. And I found that very significant. June 1st, right? 1:03 a.m. or 2:03 a.m. Every journey has an end. Okay. Then he put out a few days later, he puts out this post. And he hasn't been posting much lately. Stay in the shadows until it's time. Now, I find this really interesting because everything that we're watching right now is exactly what you and I said, probably back in February when the Iran war started with the rug pull of Israel. We said that exactly what is happening right now, that all of a sudden Trump's going to rug pull Israel and people are going to be like, what the hell? The AIPAC lobby is going to be like, oh my God, we're losing our mind. It's like Mark Levin has been triggered. Yeah, Mark Levin is like, you have Mike Huckabee like, America wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Israel. Like, what? What are you talking about? Dude, they're losing their shit. You have big Israel Mossad accounts out there completely losing their shit. Like, oh my God, like, you know, F Trump. Trump went from a 23% points up in approval rating in Israel last week to negative 23 points this week. That is nuts. Why? Because, and listen, people are like, well, Josh, you're blowing this out of proportion. We're not blowing it out of proportion. What we're trying to tell you here right now is Israel thought that they were controlling the White House. They were getting their way. But what Donald Trump had already planned was a rug pull of what they were going to do if they did not play by the United States' game. And they did not play by the United States' game. Benjamin Netanyahu went in there. He invaded Lebanon almost immediately after going into Israel. This was indicative of their greater Israel, of taking over that land, even though they said they didn't want to. They're saying, oh, it's because of Hezbollah. Even after Trump negotiated with Bibi that he wanted Jolani in Syria to go after Hezbollah, that was what Trump commanded to Netanyahu. You had Israel out there undermining Trump at every level within this whole war in Iran, embarrassing Trump on the global stage. And you don't do that to that man. And what did he just do? Basically left Israel out of all the negotiations, doesn't give a shit about their objectives, basically tells them to sit down in their little corner and everything will be all right. Let the big boys take care of things here. And Israel, he's not taking Netanyahu's phone calls from what I'm understanding. They would not release the MOU to Israel. And people are losing their shit. Like, it is like serious triggered meltdown on X right now with all of these. So it's funny because Alpha, you have Faga over here, fake Mac, which is like, Trump is controlled by Israel. Oh my God, Israel controls the White House. And we're like, no, he doesn't. They're like, oh my God, it's like Trump is controlled. He's an Epstein controlled puppet by the Mossad. Then you have Israel lobby over here going, you know, like, what the hell just happened? Israel doesn't control the White House. Israel doesn't control Trump. And now they're converging in the same rhetoric. Now they're both saying the same thing. It's crazy.
Reminds me of a an old reggae song. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry,
Three
bro.
little
It
birds sitting on
is
my
by my doorstep, singing sweet songs. Yeah,
songs.
we ain't gonna go there. We want to keep our audience
Oh,
not
come
scared
on. It's a
away.
good one. One of my favorites.
It is. It is. Shout out Bob Marley. But here's the thing. And one, somebody in the audience was like, "Come on, Alpha TMI. What? Come on. You got some military vets up here. If I'm telling you how to go take a leak and tear down a pizza at the same time, y'all should be all thanks, Alpha. You were multitasking, so you didn't make us wait too long. Show a little appreciation, people. But to the point you're making, you have Natali that came out and did a post. And he says that we are going to have, there's going to be a regime change in Iran, followed by a regime change in Israel. Again, this is Natali that's saying this from Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to go and we're going to have a new dynamic government. And we're going to reestablish the security of Israel. Like, this is exposing that extreme element that exists within the Israeli government to the point you're trying to make. You know, I was in the tunnels or the shadows of some of the X spaces last night, listening to some of the more, you know, quote unquote popular pro-Israel spaces, and people have lost they're losing their damn minds, right? And then on the other side of it, I didn't go into their spaces, but I was reading some of their posts. You said, you know, the faggot ones are sitting there and they're just like, bro, they're arguing with each other because they don't know how to reconstruct this narrative, and that's a testament to Trump. Trump is an absolute beast on this. But to go back, because you bought me some time, and this is what you bought me time for. A few nights ago, we did Q After Hours. Mm-hmm. And on Q After Hours, you actually let me go for a good rant. You and the audience were very, you guys were very good with me, and let me go on for a longer than usual rant. And in that rant, and you agreed with me too, at least for the most part, I felt like, was, you know, about a fair fight. Right? You remember that rant that I'm talking about? Like, quit asking for a fair fight. We're not in a fair fight. Unrestricted warfare. So if you guys saw Q After Hours, you remember that conversation. The next morning, Monday, I wake up. I start going through my social media stuff to get ready for, you know, yesterday's Just Alpha show. And of course, I come across the Department of War post. Let me bring this up right here so y'all can see. Department of War locked in June 15th yesterday. You're like, okay, all right. Locked into what? Well, let me just scroll up just a little bit. Good morning. America will never face a fair fight.
Literally what we were talking about the night before.
Now, am I saying that POTUS was watching Q After Hours late as hell on a Sunday night? Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying. Either him or one of the people that he's tasked with going out there and watching what the circuits are putting out came and said, "Hey, boss man, do this post," and he signed off on it. And if y'all are saying, "Alpha, you're crazy," I don't care. I'm taking this one with me, because that is not normal conversation. To just all of a sudden, there's no rhetoric from the White House, from the Department of War, or Trump in any of their social media posts that leads up to the context of a fair fight. Nothing. Mm-hmm. The only thing that had that context was our conversation Sunday night on Q After Hours. That's all I'm saying, bro. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and here's the thing is, we got good information, man. And I'm not patting ourselves on the back. I'm just saying is, listen, what you are watching is information warfare, people. That is the whole guise of this show, is information warfare. We are in the realm of information warfare. There's a silent war going on around you. Information is the largest domain of warfare. It encompasses all of the subsequent domains: air, land, sea, space. All of this has an information domain. Information is massive. We are in the midst of unrestricted warfare. And so you have to understand that not everything is as it seems. And so Trump threw some bombs today at G7. I want to play just a minute of this clip. And I want people to listen to what Trump. A few different clips. Let me flow through this. Okay, I got a 40-second clip.
Set them up with the hook, so then I can get in the ads, and everybody's like, "Damn it, Alpha."
Okay, I'll play this one, and people will recognize what Trump's saying here because I'm going to break it down, and then Alpha will go into the ads. But listen to this one, and then when we come back from these ads, oh, dude, I'm going to drop one on you that's going to be like, "What?" Listen to this.
Iran will be just fine. What's happening is that at an appropriate time, there's no rush at all. We have cameras from space on it. We know everybody that goes there, which is like nobody. The B-2 bombers hit it. The entire mountain collapsed inside it. It's a very tough excavation. Nobody else can do it but us and probably China. They have the equipment. We have the equipment. We're in no rush, but we get it. And when we get it, we'll destroy it.
Is that part
We're not looking to take it. We're looking to destroy it. We have plenty of it.
So that's actually not the clip I was trying to pull up, but that's a very interesting clip because we got cameras watching it from space. Now that's a conspiracy theory that they have cameras inside satellites in space that can watch you, but he's telling you that we have cameras in space that can watch it. And when we started this, it was actually the first DEFCON episode. I talked about Uranium One and Rostov and how Hillary Clinton authorized to transfer 35% of Uranium One's supply, which was the U.S. supply coming from Canada, to Rostov. And Russia used this. Putin was in deals and negotiations to take this. And this was the starting uranium that Iran had to make the bomb under the Obama-Iran deal. And that we knew exactly where that uranium was. Why? Because we have satellites in space that can detect various different isotopic measurements in uranium anywhere on the planet. And I think that's indicative of Trump really just confirming what I was saying.
I wouldn't argue with that. So if you want to get ready, because I know at least one of the gems that Josh is going to be bringing that got people fired up today. But before we get there, have you checked out the Badlands Shop lately? You might be surprised by what you're missing. From thoughtful gifts and unique finds to everyday household essentials and personal care must-haves, there's truly something for everyone at the Badlands Shop. But here's what makes it different. Every single purchase you make is so much more than just buying stuff. You're investing directly into our movement. You're empowering America First businesses, lifting up fellow Badlanders, and supporting the creators who are building this community with us. Thank you for being a part of this. Your support means everything, folks. Now, head over to badlandsmedia.tv/shop or click shop on the main menu at badlandsmedia.tv and discover your new favorite brands. Again, folks, that's badlandsmedia.tv/shop and find out what you have been missing. And of course, one of the crowd favorites, you guys are familiar with these guys, Patriot-Protect.com/DEFCON. Most people don't realize hundreds of companies they've never heard of are publishing their home address, their phone number, and even their kids' names right now. Here's what it looks like when a cyber criminal uses this information to target you. They Google your name and it comes up with where you live, your home, and your email address, and everyone you're related to. They grab that info, they get your kids, they hop onto their Facebook, and they walk away with your birthday and half your security answers because we all know what's on your kids' social media. They then log into your bank accounts, use the leaked username on the dark web, and once they reset your password, they are inside and control your account. Patriot Protect finds your information on hundreds of these sites and wipes it from the internet, so there's nothing left for criminals to search. And when those sites put your data back up, because they'll find a way to do it, Patriot Protect will take it right back down. Other services only alert you after your money and the tragedy has already happened. With Patriot Protect, you'll be the one who made yourself unsearchable while everybody else is still wondering how they got hit. A phone scam runs about $1,500. So head over to patriot-protect.com/DEFCON and use promo code BALANCE for 15% off to get protected. And guess what? For about $5 a month. And when you have a chance, head over and watch America First Stories episode 2 and learn a little bit more about patriotprotect.com. All right, brother,
All right,
Fire.
I got like 4 clips, but we're going to start first with JD Vance on The View. Listen to what he says here, and then I'm going to go into Trump's post, and then I'm going to explain what we've been saying on this show and why this context matters.
And I think that's where a lot of the misunderstandings come from, is you've got Iranian propagandists out there saying, well, we get all these things, and they leave out the fact that they only get those things if they fundamentally transform themselves as a country. So the United States wins either way. As the president said, either they get nothing, we destroyed their nuclear program and the Straits of Hormuz are open, or they fundamentally transform themselves, and that's a big win too. It's really up to them.
Fundamentally transform themselves? What is he talking about there? Fundamentally transform Iran? Is that a regime change? I don't think that's a regime change, because you know what? Donald Trump doesn't like regime changes unless it's a non-CIA regime change. Listen to this right here.
You talk about regime change. I never cared about regime change. It's never a part, but I guess you have regime change, because you know better than anybody. The first group, they're all dead. The second group, they're dead. A part of the third group is gone. And we're dealing with people that I think are very rational people. And they were nice to deal with. They were strong people, smart people. I think actually they're smarter than the first and second group. But they're not radicalized, and they're, looking to help their country.
Interesting choice of words. Now, on this show, for people who are maybe just joining in tonight, seeing us on the big screen on Rumble, we've laid this out over the course of the last few months that Iran has been in a factionalized state, that you have IRGC hardliners who are kind of in control of the military and various different proportionalities of the military. And then you have the civilian component government. And Donald Trump has only been negotiating with the civilian component government, only the civilian government. He'll only talk to the civilian government. So when Donald Trump comes out and he's like, oh, we got to deal with Iran and it's perfect. It's the best damn deal ever. And the Strait of Hormuz is going to open tomorrow. The oil prices drop. And then Iran comes out and says, what the hell are you talking about? No, nobody ever said that. What he is doing is a psychological warfare campaign on the various different levels of leadership within Iran. He will talk to one person, and then the hardliners will be like, who did he talk to? Who is he communicating with? The reason being is because the projection of power in Iran is whoever Donald Trump chooses to talk to. You have to understand that. And he's only been wanting to talk to the civilian component government. So yesterday, President Pezeshkian of Iran came out and said, hey, this war is finally ending. It's for the good of the people of Iran. And basically screw off to all the IRGC hardliners who are calling us traitors. Now, Iran, these people, they follow strength. And for 47 years, the Ayatollah, the clergy, they were the resemblance of strength. Even though they brought about tyranny and oppression. They held all the guns, they held all the money, and they are the ones that the people bow down to. Now, you had that whole clergy, mullahs, and Ayatollah basically eradicated. Yes, you got Moshtaba that Donald Trump indicated multiple different times. I'd love to talk to him. I'd love to talk to Moshtaba. But guess what? He's most likely dead. And I'm going to get into a part about that here in a second. He's most likely dead. That's why Donald Trump was putting him out there, because he knew he was dead, which means that the IRGC was not taking orders from the Ayatollah or the clergy. They were taking orders from themselves amongst their own little group. And you don't want that power vacuum to take control. So Trump was only negotiating with the civilian component government. And I think the civilian component government understood this as well, because Arashi, Pezeshkian, they never met with Moshtaba after he got put in place of the Ayatollah. Remember, they brought out that cardboard cutout and stuff. So why is this so important? Because the people of Iran follow strength. And right now, the civilian component government, President Pezeshkian, Minister Ariachi, they are the ones that just ended this war, got sanctions released, opened up the Straits of Hormuz, not the IRGC. In other words, you're going to see a transitional shift in the balance of power in Iran. People are going to start supporting the civilian component government. They're going to start ignoring the IRGC. The IRGC is going to diminish in power because of this. That's the real regime change. That was the objective that Trump and Hegseth and all of these guys were trying to obtain, and it was put into motion a long time ago. Now, interestingly enough, we were just talking about Israel. Israeli intelligence told their leadership today that Mustafa Khomeini has zero intention of signing the final nuclear agreement. This is what Israeli intelligence is coming out saying publicly, that Iran accepted the framework only to open the Hormuz and to get the economic relief, not to make nuclear concessions. Now, this is the only way that that could be true, whether Mustafa is dead or alive, is if he's a controlled asset by either the Mossad or MI6, exactly as we've been saying. So it's also important to note here, okay, why would I say MI6 like that or Mossad? Mojtaba is worth about $40 billion, if people didn't know that. And he owns billions of dollars of real estates throughout Europe and the Middle East. Much of the financing actually came from a large Israeli financing company that financed much of his real estate. Yes, that's true. Now, he scattered much of his real estate throughout the UK and France and Germany and Spain. But how did he move his money? I mean, this guy's got the Iranian dollar. It's worth nothing outside of Iran. Oh, no. He was dealing in regular euros. And how did he move that money? Well, his bank accounts were in the Isle of Man. Well, this is nothing more than a surrogate for the Bank of London. So if you understand that Mojtaba, or the Ayatollah position, is a controlled asset, and this is why Trump, they deviated away from talking with the IRGC, talking with the Ayatollah, all of that, killed all those people off as much as possible, and only talked to the civilian component government. But there's another part of all of this. You know, Joe Kent came out and said that Bibi Netanyahu's the one that got Donald Trump into this fight, and he's the one that started all of this. That is nothing more than nonsense and bullshit. We've laid this out. I've been talking about this before Donald Trump was even back in office. I laid out how all this was going to go down. Now, here's one interesting part about this. I don't know if Joe Kent, by the way, is working for the good guys and he laid those seeds on purpose, because we're about to see the fruits of those seeds, because we're seeing the AIPAC lobby ramp up massively right now, which, yes, AIPAC does have massive control over Senate and Congress. So that is true. But Trump did not start this war because of what Netanyahu told him. I believe that timing, like Trump said, timing is everything. It was the perfect time for it. Listen to what Donald Trump says right here about Hezbollah. And then I'm going to break this down for you, because he says, dude, he dropped some bombs right here that nobody is catching on to. Listen to this shit.
Mr. President, what are the expectations for Israel? Can this deal survive if Israel attacks Lebanon?
It can, and I consider that the minor war. Iran's the big one, but we have that a little pinprick out there that constantly rears its head.
Okay, just that part right there. We consider that the minor war, the little pinprick,
and that says
rears its head.
And
okay, are you back now?
Responsible for Syria.
Yeah, I've been
all right. I was I missed that entire thing. So whatever you showed, I don't know if the audience caught it, but it
I'm going to start
completely
this over.
glitched.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay, listen to this clip.
Mr. President, what are the expectations for Israel? Can this deal survive if Israel attacks Lebanon?
It can, and I consider that the minor war. Iran's the big one, but we have that a little pinprick out there that constantly rears its head, and that's Hezbollah. And, I was very responsible for Syria, and the man that's running Syria now is a person that I put there along with President Erdogan and some others. He's done an amazing.
What did he just say right there? Did people not hear that? Firstly, when was Assad overthrown? Prior to Donald Trump being president for his second term, right? This was 2023, 2024, when Jolani came into power, right? Now, we never knew all of the details about it. What did Trump just say right here? Listen to this.
And the man that's running Syria now is a person that I put there along with President Erdogan and some others.
You heard it. That I put there along with Erdogan and others.
But he wasn't president, Josh.
But he wasn't president. But who did he work with? Erdogan of Turkey to put Jolani in. That's huge. We always assumed, because we didn't know, that it was Israel, but it wasn't. Now, listen to what he says here.
He's done an amazing job of pulling it together. He's not a Boy Scout, but he's done an amazing job of pulling it together. And he is very good with Hezbollah, does not like them. And I'll tell you what, Israel's fighting Hezbollah too long and too many people are being killed. And you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody, because there are a lot of people in those apartment houses, and they're not all Hezbollah, that I can tell you. And I suggested to Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah. Because to be honest with you, I think they do a better job of doing it.
I don't think people realize the significance of everything that Trump just said.
That was, he did a, what Trump did there was a public indictment of
murder
of the IDF.
Yep, murder from the IDF. Then he put him on a lower echelon that Syria will do better against defeating Hezbollah. But the fact that he said that when he was not president, he gave the order through Erdogan in Turkey to put Jolani in power and take out Assad, that's huge. Why? Because it shows us that, number one, Israel was not involved in that move. Number two, that the preemptive move to take out Iran was planned well before February 2026. Okay? For decades, Syria was the critical land bridge connecting Iran and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Under Assad, Syria facilitated Iranian influence, weapon transfers, logistics, and strategic depth for Hezbollah. Jolani's movement emerged from the very forces that fought Assad, Iranian-backed militias, and Hezbollah. If Syria is now aligned with Jolani's government, which they are, Hezbollah loses much of its Syrian logistics corridor. Iranian influence inside Syria is reduced. Weapon transfers from Iran to Hezbollah become far more difficult. Hezbollah becomes increasingly dependent on covert smuggling routes, and pro-Iranian militias face growing pressure from Syrian authorities. If Syria has truly shifted, we know this, from being Hezbollah's rear base to its adversary, then the entire Iran-Syria-Hezbollah axis that defined the region for 40 years has been dismantled. So Trump understood that to take down Iran, you first have to dismantle the Syrian corridor that supports and sponsors the Houthis and Hezbollah. Now, we mentioned this back in February when this war started. We said, notice Hezbollah and the Houthis are not fighting back against Israel. They're not launching attacks. The reason was Jolani in Syria had cut off, and their militias had been fighting the Hezbollah factions out in those regions, and they've been doing this for quite some time until Israel re-entered into Beirut and southern Lebanon. And Israel didn't do it to eliminate Hezbollah. They did it to take over that land and territory. And Trump said, hey, I told Netanyahu, let Syria handle Hezbollah. And Netanyahu didn't listen to Trump once again. But all of this, it proves so much stuff. Number one is that we talked about how I don't believe Trump was CIC, but he had command authority within various different factions of the U.S. military and world leaders. People would do what this man said because they knew he was coming back into power. And Netanyahu even said it was Donald Trump who ordered the decapitation event on Hezbollah right after Butler. It was Donald Trump. He wasn't president. So when you start to see this, he ordered the overturning revolution of Assad in Syria. So why do those two things matter? Because those were prerequisites for taking out Iran. And Trump ordered both of those without any help from Bibi Netanyahu or Israel twisting his arm to do it, or Miriam Adelson giving him money to do it. So it completely debases this whole theory of Candace Tucker and Joe and all these people who want to say that, oh, Trump is controlled by Miriam Adelson in Israel. It's all nonsense and bullshit. And what you're seeing here is that the regime change in Iran has been in place for a very, very long time. And this is significant. I mean, this is China, the UK. We're talking about a global energy corridor which was a methodology utilized by the London bankers, the derivatives bankers, by the large insurance companies to steal trillions of dollars over a 40-year period. And Trump ended that almost overnight on the first day that the Strait of Hormuz shut down. Now, when we come into the regime change of what's going on in Iran, we have the civilian component government that is going to be looked at as the power strength horse in Iran, which the people are going to flock to. You're going to see Make Iran Great Again start popping up everywhere. The civilian component government is going to start getting all the power. The IRGC is going to have to start to come down. At the same time, you're going to have Hezbollah eliminated within Lebanon. Lebanon's been fighting Hezbollah for a long time. The same with Syria. But what you need is Israel to step back and just fucking stop. And this is what Trump is trying to do right now. But what Israel is doing is they're basically shooting themselves in the foot because Netanyahu blew his load. Right when Trump authorized the strikes on Iran, Netanyahu invaded Lebanon, which was a dumb strategic military move. He knew that the only way that he could support and substantiate a dual-fronted war, we talked about this last year during the 12-day war, well, the only way he could substantiate that was with U.S. help and support. And the moment that the U.S. went into negotiations with Iran, and Iran, they bumped up everything against Hezbollah, and Israel started getting their asses kicked. Now, also, you have to add in there, who was the adversary of Benjamin Netanyahu last week, who said that if you continue to bomb Gaza and continue to do this, we're going to go after you. It's the same person that last year said that we have 32 Muslim nations that are going to come together in the League of Arab Nations, and we will stop you physically or kinetically if you continue to bomb Gaza. That was Erdogan in Turkey. And now what do you have? You have Erdogan is the one that worked with Trump to take out Assad and put Jolani in there. You have Erdogan just last week telling Benjamin Netanyahu, like, let's go to war. You want to go to war? We will fuck you up. And Netanyahu is lashing back at that. Why is that interesting? Turkey is a NATO nation. Okay? Now, do we have a defense cooperation agreement with Israel? It's just kind of, it's just there. I think there's one existent from 1948, but it's just a pact agreement, a cooperation agreement.
Wasn't it? I thought it was a treaty.
It might be. Okay, I might be wrong on this. People check me on this one. But NATO is a treaty where if Israel attacks Turkey, the U.S. is obligated through treaty to defend Turkey. Now, if Turkey bombs Israel, the United States should not have any obligations to defend Israel. It's going to get really, really interesting because I think, and I already said this last night, and I said this Sunday, is I think that we're going to have a kinetic incursion between Israel and Turkey over the course of the next few months. And this is going to mark the end of Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu, I don't think, will be in politics longer than 6 months out the road. I think that he's done. And also on that, I think what you're going to see is you're going to see the leftist side of Israel probably take over. And that is going to produce a more divergent relationship with Trump administration and the United States of America. But first, we got to defeat the National Defense Authorization Act and the 4 different sections that basically hand over all Middle Eastern intelligence and weapons development to Israel.
Well, and we talked about this. I don't know if it was on Q After Hours or watching The Guardian or even last DEFCON, but this creates there's a term we used in law enforcement and especially within the court system. How would a reasonable person respond to that news or that information, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at what you just articulated, and the picture that you painted for us, let's for a moment pause and think through the lens of the demographic that matters a lot here, right? Some people don't like it, some people do, but it's the demographic of Christian Zionists, right? Very large, very powerful demographic that exists in the United States. So through the lens of a Christian Zionist and what we see happening with the peace deal between the United States and Iran, between Trump's rhetoric today at the G7, which you played some of the clips for us, and the rhetoric that we see coming out, like I said, Batali, right? About an extreme dynamic government that's going to take charge and regime change in Iran. When you see all this stuff unfold, would a reasonable Christian Zionist see this if Trump was to decide to say, hey, we are going to back off on this relationship that we have with Israel right now, because we're a nation that is seeking peace in the Middle East. We've tried to accomplish this through the Abraham Accords. We've tried to accomplish this through the Board of Peace. We've accomplished this with the Iranian government, right? Everybody was afraid of a World War III nuclear war. And Benjamin Netanyahu and this current government wants to continue with conflict that is not in the interest of Americans because of the risk that it poses. Would a reasonable Christian Zionist see that as an exit strategy that doesn't shock the conscience, doesn't make them be like, we got to impeach him, call your Congress members, Trump has turned? Or do they step back and say, hey, we don't like this, but it's understandable?
Well, let me play a clip for you that's going to tell you how they are going to react.
This is just another reminder that it is your heritage without a doubt. But minister, it is also the heritage of the United States. Without Israel, without the Jewish foundation, there would not be an America. We owe our very existence to what happened in this land.
Does that help?
But Huckabee is also the extreme, right? He. When I'm talking about the demographic of Christian Zionists, I'm not talking about like the Huckabees, the Mark Levins.
I know, but these are the leaders of those people. Okay, I mean the congregations are out there passing down what these people are telling them. You have Ted Cruz yesterday saying a dark force has come over America trying to divide Israel and the United States. You always notice how they always say Israel first. And here's the thing is the argument that they're always going to have is what Mark Levin said today. No, I'm serious. The argument
I know.
Because you're appealing to Christians. And look, Mark, this is what Mark Levin said today. Okay. I'm going to pull this up. Mark Levin said this: Israel, the Holy Land, is nearly 4,000 years old. It owes its existence to Almighty God. And he's replying to Josh Hammer, behold, the guardian of Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. Okay. Now, okay, Mark, I understand what you're saying. Not to be mistaken for the country of Israel, which was formed in 1948. Please don't confuse the two. The country of Israel formed in 1948 is not the same thing as God's land of Israel.
I agree with you. I would say the vast majority of this audience is on par with you. But again, we're also the minority. And that's why I say.
I don't think we're the minority.
Well, no.
I don't think Christian Zionists and Christian evangelists own this country. I don't think they're the majority of the Republican vote.
No, I don't think they own this country, but they're a large enough demographic that they absolutely influence the politics.
They're a large enough demographic in the Bible belts, the southern states and so forth. But you need those to win. A lot of the bellwether counties are within these districts, but they are not a majority of the Americans.
But and I agree with you, but that's what I'm saying is numbers don't necessarily matter when you're talking perception.
I agree. No, I agree. I agree.
And when you're looking at, the kind of the precedents that's existed in this country, a lot of the people that subscribe to the scripture of the Bible as it's written and it's taught from Sunday school all the way through your adult life, is a lot of those people don't make the distinction between Israel of 1948 versus the Israel that's referred to in the Bible. And so that creates this absence of the knowledge of that, which gets exploited by the people like Huckabee and Levin and every other politician that's out there. So if we know that general understanding is true, and we know that when Trump makes these moves and the comments that he did today, and we know that it targeted audiences, targeted groups. What is the narrative that he's presenting to them? Not us, because it's easy to depict what the narrative that he's putting for us is. What's the narrative that he's presenting to them? And that's what I think brings us to, we like to gauge where we're at in the phases of this war based on the way we interpret it as people who are awake, people that study. And I've had this position for quite some time now, is the measure of the phases we're in has to be a measurement based off of what normies are being exposed to, because they are the vast majority when you're talking about not just Americans, but humanity in general. And so based off of what we saw today, that rhetoric was not rhetoric for us, because we already know.
Agreed.
That rhetoric was for normies, which then we use that correlation to, okay, now what does that mean to us based off what we're all have studied or read in on it? And this comes into the conversation of what you said at the beginning of the show, saving Israel for last. Now, if that's the case, and we know Israel has elections coming in October, that's a very short window between now and then of major changes that have to happen in one way or another. Either we see the complete capitulation of the current Israeli government to President Trump, whether Bibi is, going along to get along, or whether he's, chasing the carrot that's put in front of Trump. He's either going to completely just bow down before Trump and the government and say, you guys won, this is where it's at, or he's going to be against that. And we're going to see that whatever that looks like happen between now and October. Because like I said, you have, what's his name? Batali from Israel. I keep jacking up his name. Again, I've said it already twice tonight. He comes out and he's pissed with Bibi. He's pissed. And he's saying we are going to have a new dynamic government come October, and we're going to reestablish the security with this bullshit that's going on with Iran. So he's already said there's no question if that aspect of Israel takes over the government, they're going to push World War III. So if Trump knows this and Bibi knows this, then I'm telling the only way that I can read this is that Trump is accelerating this process before we get to the elections in Israel, in order to make whatever transition happen before that point. Do I make sense?
You are, but there's a small caveat that you have to put into this. Art of war. Never interfere with your enemy while they're in the process of destroying themselves. What Trump just did is he set up Israel, exactly as we said. Because if Iran truly wants to defeat Israel, all they have to do is nothing. That's why Trump said, I don't think Iran is going to strike, or Hezbollah is, or sorry, Iran is going to strike Israel over Hezbollah. He knows they're not going to. The reason he knows they're not going to is because he told them, he said, look, if you strike Israel, Israel's going to strike you. It's just going to keep on going. But if you stop, if you just say, hey, look, we got peace. We want peace. We're transitioning to a civilian component government. We don't want war anymore. And Israel is shown as the aggressor on the global stage. And Israel
which is what he's doing
right
now.
Which is exactly what he's doing right now. He goes, they will destroy themselves. And what I mean by that is the government, the current government in Netanyahu will destroy themselves. And guess what? That's exactly what's going to happen. Now, Alpha, do you remember a few months ago when we said on the show and I said that Putin and Xi Jinping are going to be a part of these negotiations and bring the peace out?
100%. We said it more than once.
Trump thanks China and Russia, partners of Iran, for diplomatic help in sealing the ceasefire deal. He had that call with Putin on Sunday, on his birthday, on Flag Day, the same deal that had happened. He was also with Chinese deliberators that were coordinating with Xi. It was Xi and Putin who went in there and got various different hardliner factions of the IRGC to stand down. We talked about this on this show.
I absolutely remember it. I also remember highlighting that we were the only ones that were pushing that situation. And we even followed it up with, you'll remember this, is you're going to see that be the precursor of Russia and China be involved with the Board of Peace.
Yep. Thank you. I forgot about that part. That Iran, Russia, and China will be coming in on the board of peace. And I think that's moved. So you have 60 days of deliberations that are going to occur between the U.S. and Iran. And I think that one of the proposals is going to be for Iran to come into the board of peace as long as they can maintain peace and stability within the region. They don't fund Hezbollah, all of this stuff, because that's going to be an indicator to Israel that this is very, very real. And I believe that over the next 60 days of these negotiations, everything being placed on the table by the United States and by Iran is to show Israel that it's over and nobody wants aggressions. That's what it's all going to be about. What you're seeing already is the Mossad psyops are already taking place. Did you see this one today by Mossad commentary? Let me pull this up. Oh, come on. Where did you go? I just had you. So, you know the Mossad commentary account?
I do. I can go to it. You just got to tell me what you're looking for, and I'll try to help you find it.
I got it. I got it right here. Stop. Add. Look what they put out today. I love this. Trump is reportedly considered dismissing senior officials who oppose the Iran deal, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Dude, Hegseth was a critical part of this deal. He's one of the reasons the deal went through. It's Trump's deal. Then what did you have? Former Israeli intelligence officer Ari Ben Menashe says Benjamin Netanyahu is about to release the real Epstein files in an effort to sabotage the peace deal. This is so funny. Dude, when did we say that the release of more Epstein files would come about that would start to implicate various different politicians in the United States? We said it right about the summertime frame. So Netanyahu is threatening to release the Israeli version of the Epstein files right now. It's like Trump didn't even have to do it. Now Israel's going to do it for him. And it all comes out. And now there's no stop marks within the U.S. intelligence community and the deep state that are stopping it from coming out there. And I'm like, yeah, baby, release them. Do it. It's not going to stop the Iran deal. What it's going to do is it's going to take out the majority of the APEC politicians. So that was a warning to the APEC politicians.
Influences the Christian Zionists.
That's right.
Do it, baby. just full send, bro. Just boop, push the button, bro.
But it is like they are starting the influence wars. They are starting the propaganda wars. You have
there was a reason. Look at the strategic timing of Alex Jones coming out to bring up the Q movement, because he knew what was coming. They know. You know, I mean, Alex Jones himself might not understand the full scope of the way this plan looks, but the person
that's being led by somebody.
Exactly. And they understand what's going. It's why they give them certain, information, because they're trying to seed that narrative that they know is coming down the pipeline. And we are coming to that Epstein point. That's right here. Here's something to consider. Jay Clayton, the guy that Trump
SDNYs, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, just appointed DNI.
Yes. Who did Trump just bomb out in South America?
Gutierrez, the head of Trinidad and Aragua.
Nino Guerrero, the head of Trinidad and Aragua. And so I started looking into this, right, as I was doing some research into Jay Clayton. Do you know who Jay Clayton opened up a RICO case against before all this happened? Specifically,
before
Nino Guerrero.
Oh, interesting.
So Jay Clayton, right, opens up a case. I think this was 24-25. No, it would have been 2025. He opens up a RICO case against Nino Guerrero. Trump, a few days ago, says this is going to be our guy for ODNI. A few days after that, Trump goes poof and turns Nino Guerrero into pink mist. So the same guy that runs Trinidad and Aragua, the same guy that Jay Clayton, who's going, if confirmed, is going to be our ODNI, was looking at him. Where do you think Trump got that intel?
He got it from
from his future ODNI.
But hold on. You got to go back one more step. Where did they get the information of the location? Because, by the way, what did the DOD say when that occurred? They said, with help with our partners in Venezuela, we conducted this strike. Who did Jay Clayton in the Southern District of New York indict earlier this year?
Maduro,
who is also sitting in prison in New York under SDNY. 2 generals from the Cartel de los Soles.
So they're
right. They're talking. They're giving the information. Now, Tulsi's about to release her election integrity and infrastructure task force report, and Jay Clayton is coming in as DNI right after that happens. She's the one that did the investigation and the reporting. But why does Jay Clayton matter in that? Because Maduro is in custody, and Jay Clayton had all that information pertaining to Maduro's case and Maduro's testimony. By the way, what else was tried in SDNY? Clinton Foundation, Wiener Laptop, Epstein. Jay Clayton has it all, and he's coming into ODNI.
Here's what I would say. I talked about this on the show tonight as well with regards to Jay Clayton. Does he have ties to some things that definitely make you do the Dwayne Johnson raise an eyebrow? Fuck yeah, he does. I get that. But, and we've said this before, there's no way, and this I will claim this as an authority coming from the career that I did in doing things like undercover work. There's no way you're going to get people into positions of the deep state without those people doing things that they're definitely going to take to the grave with them. It's not going to happen. People can disagree with me all you want. I'm 100% right on that, and nobody will get me to budge on that concept. So with that understanding and bring it into Jay Clayton, let me ask you this. When Tulsi announced the RICO case that she was going after, the very first one, what was it tied to? Russia, right? And then after that, we start to hear about these potential indictments coming down the chain. We get Brennan's lawyers out in Florida that start getting nervous. But the one that we get hardcore confirmation on for RICO is the Russia. Mm-hmm. And then a few days ago, Tulsi comes out and she drops that bombshell video, right? Essentially talking gain of function and Anthony Fauci. Now, okay, Russia, which is tied into the elections, right? Election interference. But then we got gain of function and Fauci. Well, why is that important? Because that takes us down the conversation pathway of COVID. And what was the bioweapon that was used to compromise the US elections in 2020? It was COVID. So I don't think people need to separate all these things. I think all these RICO cases are going to get tied in together, including the Act Blue. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we're June 16th. So we got all of July, all of August, all of September, right? Because I'm not counting October, because October is going to be interesting of itself. So we got essentially 3 months and 2 weeks that all this is going to come into that fatal funnel. The RICO cases, because you have John Solomon, who's confirmed the information that's going to be coming out of the FBI and Tulsi's office before the end of this month surrounding the CCP election interference. So that's going to come into play. We have, you have Maduro, or the bodyguard or general, whatever it is that's in there with Maduro that you're talking about earlier. He's talking.
There's 2 of them. There's another whistleblower that came forth. This is the guy with Patrick Byrne and Flynn,
yes,
who came forth after we went in there and took Maduro out. And he's the one that pointed all the documents that Maduro brought with him that implicate Iran and China, Ukraine. This is when she puts this report out.
Well, that's what I'm saying is what I suspect is what we're about to see. Remember, we're July, August, September, and then 2 weeks here in June, right? So 3 months and 3.5 months. This is what I anticipate we're going to see in some form. And I think it'll probably be in this kind of order of events too, based on all this shit that we just kind of talked about tonight. Is the information from Venezuela in the elections is going to surface. The information from CCP in the elections is going to surface. the information, because remember, you got Governor Newsom that just came out and yesterday, and he doubled down today. DOJ is looking into him and his wife and their associates, right? They're under investigation. So that's coming out. You have Spencer Pratt that was used as kind of the ploy to get them to definitely, create very obvious anomalies in the election fraud in LA and all of California, but specifically LA. So you have all this election fraud that's coming to a head. It's all going to happen. I think it's going to happen before the end of this month, before we get into the 4th of July celebration. When that happens, and I've said this till I'm blue in the face, there's going to be a bipartisan call in all of America for the Save America Act to pass, right? Which Thune has pretty much told us it ain't going to happen, right? We've said it's not going to happen from the very beginning. It's something that we both agreed on. I think sometime between, I would say, sometime in the month of July, Thune is going to get pushed. I would say as early as June 28th, but sometime in July, Thune is going to get forced to make the final decision on the Save America Act, right? Because all this other stuff's got to come out first, then Thune's going to make the move. And they're not going to do it. Whether he rejects to entertain it or whether he entertains it, it just doesn't pass. The Save America Act is going to collapse. From that point, Trump is going to create a scenario that, and I think it's a final scenario, and I'm open to your interpretation of what this may be, because I think there's one more thing that needs to happen before the final move. Trump is going to create an ultimatum for the U.S. government when it comes to elections. And it's going to be something that's clearly understandable by all of America, whether you're Democrat, Independent, or Republican, all of America. And then when that doesn't happen, remember, this is after they fail on the Save America Act and Trump gives them one last remedy. Then Trump comes out and he's going to use executive order and a declaration of a national emergency, and he's going to force the hand of elections, and he's going to include military to facilitate that operation. That's going to put us into the conversations of a constitutional crisis, but there is a legal constitutional process to do that. It's just people won't be educated on it when it happens, and that's going to get exploited.
So I don't think that Trump is going to go the military route. I think that there's a few things that have already happened and a few things that are about to happen that are going to bring this about. So we're on the same page.
When I say use the military, let me present to you a concept that I presented to my audience. I don't think we're going to show up to vote at precincts that are going to have military personnel. I don't think that. I think Trump is going to allow the election committees and all that to do the elections. He's just going to say it's going to be IDs, it's going to be paper ballots, it's going to be one day. I think when I say Trump's going to use the military, I think the military is going to collect the ballots. And I think the military is going to be one.
It's unconstitutional. You can't.
It's only unconstitutional if we're in the absence of martial law and he's not using the National Guard under his authority. And there's two things that qualify him to do this, which this gets into that conversation, posse comitatus. And both these things have to exist at the same time. The courts have to be inoperable, a very subjective term. Inoperable could mean there's riots. So if riots and buildings being burned, BLM Summer of Love are going on, and the courts physically can't operate, that's one way to interpret it. But again, it's very subjective, inoperable. Inoperable can also mean that the new attorney general, right, or, in collaboration with the new ODNI, whoever it is, comes out and says, this is the level of corruption we have in the judicial system. And because of the level of corruption that is irrefutable, these courts are now inoperable. So there's two ways I think you can get to that box. But the second box that has to exist is local law enforcement has to be incapable of facilitating their duties. And so there's only a few ways that comes about. And I think that's right.
So it's a very, very rare situation that would have to have a lot of things aligning to make that happen. My thoughts are this. Number one is Trump already signed the executive order. This is already in place. By the end of this month, the Supreme Court is about to rule on absentee ballots being accepted on election day and only election day. And they are going to vote for that, which means that all ballots have to be accepted by election day, which, going back to California, 40,000 ballots coming in at 1 a.m., that can't happen anymore after this Supreme Court decision. The number three thing is a bill that Trump just passed with the United States Postal Service, With these three things in place, our elections are actually fairly getting there, okay? But the U.S. Postal Service is now demanding from each state their voter rolls. Remember, the DOJ has been going after the states for their voter rolls, and the states are not giving them up. So now the U.S. Postal Service, which, by the way, legally bound to facilitate ballots. Ballots can only be transferred through official mail channels of the federal government. They have to go through the United States Postal Service. The United States Postal Service just said, hey, if you're going to send out absentee ballots, you have to provide us the voter rolls and the matching scan on the ballots to confirm that that absentee ballot matches those on the voter rolls.
Here's the asterisk to that. And shout out to CanCon because he found this one. And it's the only asterisk in this scenario because you're right. However, there's a legal time frame that comes with this move that the states get to respond to. The issue here is if they were to deploy that today, there's not enough time. There's not enough legal time that they have before the elections. I think and somebody in the audience will remember me and CanCon having this conversation. I think it was like 200 and some days or 100 and some days, whatever the case was, when we did the math.
You're talking about the technological integration.
Well, the technical term of, for the U.S. Postal Office to deploy this, they have the absolute, everything you said is correct. But it needed to have happened like 60 days ago, the start of that process, in order to give the states the legal pathway. Now, none of the states have brought up this point yet. And I think because what they're waiting for is when Trump legally deploys that, then I think the state attorneys are going to jump in and say, hey, you're not giving us the legal time to appeal this process. And I think that's what's going to lead to the pathway of what I'm talking about.
Well, so I think that we could go down the same pathway. So I think we're on the same page. But what I want to do is just throw this in there. DNI Tulsi Gabbard's reports about to come out that's going to show foreign adversaries interfered with the 2020 election and that our elections are compromised. From that gives Donald Trump the prerequisite for declaring a national emergency on election integrity and infrastructure. From that point, he can state, because of the national emergency, states have to abide by the United States Postal Service's implementation of this program and provide your voter rolls by this date within 30 days. If you do not, the Speaker of the House on January 3rd will not seat your congressman. And that's through national emergency. That forces their hand. Has to.
So we're going to find out. We're going to find out.
The good thing is there's many different angles because I don't believe the Save America Act is going to pass.
It's not.
Obviously, you got to keep the optimism. You got to show the people instead of tell the people. So Trump's got to still go out there and say, well, let's attach it to FISA. He just came out and said, hey, look, there's going to be no FISA reauthorizations if you don't attach the Save America Act to it. And John Thune comes out and says, that's just not going to happen. Right?
He did. He tried doing it the Obama way. Attaching it to Recon 3. Didn't happen.
Rec 3.
He tried to attach it to FISA. Thune told him this again. That didn't happen. It's not going to pass. And this is why Trump has been promoting it so much, because he wants the Save America Act to be a household name within the people that understand elections and that vote. And there's a reason for that. And it's because it's not going to pass. And if he knows that it's not going to pass, like me and you know it's not going to pass, that means he has a plan already for it, which means he's already started moving the pieces in order to facilitate that plan.
You can already see the seed of that. So over the course of the last 14 months, the Department of Justice and various other organizations have requested from the states legally through the court systems for their voter rolls. All of the liberal states and even some Republican states are declining to hand over their voter rolls. That is so imperative because it shows that the Trump administration had already taken the process to set up every preparation for this bill that is going in for the United States Postal Service. My guess is that once DNI Tulsi Gabbard's report comes out, that's going to give him the prerequisite for a national emergency. He's going to give John Thune one last chance. Hey, look at this report. Pass the Save America Act. It's not going to pass. That's going to prompt the national emergency. The national emergency is going to implement the United States Postal Service appropriations law fast and immediate, that states have to comply with it before the election cycle. Get it done now. And if they don't, then they will not seat their congressman in the next Congress. And Mike Johnson, you already know, is on board with this.
I like Rock Justice because Rock Justice is struggling being black-pilled. We are being played over and over and over. Rock Justice, for us being played, do you know how many kids have been rescued, saved, and recovered? We're approaching 200,000 right now. That alone should be a victory. You know how many of these child traffickers and human traffickers have been arrested? That number is well over 20,000 already. Border's been completely shut down. We have the exposure of all these people happening. You have Newsom that's crying that the DOJ is investigating him. You have the FBI that just
did you hear what happened with that?
With Newsom?
So Newsom comes out yesterday and states that the Trump's DOJ is targeting me and investigating me.
And he requests a FOIA for his name and his wife's names and all that.
So guess what happens today?
Well, the investigation.
CNN reports on it and breaks the news that Gavin Newsom was lying. CNN states, for the record, that Gavin Newsom was not telling the truth, that it's not the Trump administration that's investigating him and his wife, that it's the Department of Justice in Sacramento, in California, his own DOJ, that is investigating his wife.
In 2024 is when that initiation, when it was initiated. Now you got to ask yourself, but how? Trump's administration wasn't in place yet. So how is that possible? Biden pulled some strings to make a deal. People aren't going to be happy about that.
Let me pull this up real quick because this is actually important. So if you don't know how it worked with if you don't know how it worked with Newsom's wife, basically Gavin Newsom, the governor would fund the school systems. The school systems was working with, I think it was called the America Foundation or something like this, a nonprofit entity. And the nonprofit entity was getting millions of dollars from the money that Gavin Newsom was giving to the schools. Well, then they hired Gavin Newsom's wife, a for-profit company, and paid her millions of dollars. You can't do that. That's illegal. Well, what's interesting, did you hear about this today? New York Health Commissioner James McDonald and Medicaid Director Amir Bashiri have been charged in connection with the Medicaid fraud being brought about by the federal government, alleging the Hochul administration rigged the transition of the CDPAP services for Public Partnership LLC and allowed the company to siphon millions off through its contract. That's right. The U.S. Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against Kathy Hochul's administration Tuesday, claiming it rigged the bids for $11 billion Medicaid home care program, allowing a hand-picked company to siphon off millions of dollars in taxpayer money. James McDonald and Amir Basiri were both named in the indictment, which lays out startling new allegations that claims Hochul's administration schemed to consolidate payroll services for nearly 250,000 home care recipients under Public Partnership LLC and moved forward without the proper transition. In other words, the majority of those patients never existed. They paid them off anyways to a private company. And guess what? That private company then goes and pays another company who they all own, and they all get kickbacks because, as Scott Bessent said, we are using the same model that we used in Minnesota for all the other states. And what he said about that was the NGO infrastructures of going in there, looking at Medicaid, SNAP fraud, welfare fraud, how all they are exploiting the system and how they exploiting it. Governor goes out there, approves something, billions of dollars over here, the billions of dollars flow over there. You have NGOs that come in and they rack in the billions of dollars and they hire for-profit companies that have to flow back to Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, Hochul, Newsom, and all these people. And it's being taken down.
Can I be a conspiracy theorist for a minute?
Sure.
So what you're describing, and someone in the audience can fact check me if I'm correct, this would have been, in California, I'm speaking, this would have been Bill AB 84 that went after the money laundering tied to the school institutions and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So now what's interesting is AB 84, right? Well, let's go back to, what was it, 2024? because it wasn't Trump's administration. I want to say it was under Biden. It would have been 2023 or 2024. There was a certain football player that came out and said that he was plugging Newsom's wife and that Newsom was sitting in the cut chair. You guys remember what player that was? Let me give you guys a hint. His initials are AB, Antonio Brown.
Yep, Antonio Brown.
What was Antonio Brown's football number? 84. So was this just conspiracy to say that what was going to
come back around and fuck his wife really came around and fucked his
AB
wife.
84 was telling us that it was really the Senate Bill 84 for this fraud. That's what's leading.
You need to
this
write that up.
investigation.
You need to write that one up. That deserves a good conspiracy recognition.
I'm just saying, man. I don't know. I don't know. But what I do want to ask you about before we get out of here, because I definitely want to get your thoughts on this. And this is kind of down the conspiracy realm. And I'll give you guys a hint. If you remember what the boards told us, what did it say about airplane crashes? Right. And we had a pretty significant one, unfortunately, here in California yesterday. So we'll cover that when we come back. This is the last ad. You guys will enjoy this. Speaking of Juneteenth.
He changed his shirt 3 times before he left. Tried on a smile that didn't
Everybody
fit
saves.
quiet.
Everybody.
Else like they
Even me.
Especially you.
You mean I just have to use a promo code to get the discount?
BB truly is an idiot.
Hi, fellas. What year is it?
Soft disclosures for everybody.
If that doesn't make you want to buy some, you're just wrong. Fix yourself. So you guys heard me mention it right before the commercial break. Post 259, December 5th, 2017, red 9/11, funds raised versus distributed. Oversight, but this is the line that I was talking about. 7 out of 10 plane crashes are targeted kills. Those in the know never sleep. And this is the part that's just very unfortunate. Yesterday, B-52 Stratoforce bomber crashes in Edwards Air Force Base. The only really updates to the story that I could go out there and find as I was searching the devil's internet is that it was in the air for a little over 3 minutes. And while it was in the air, the last maneuver that it makes, according to some of the flight radars and stuff that people are tracking, it makes a hard 180-degree turn, and then it starts to descend towards the ground at I think it was 5,000 feet per second or something like that. It was an extremely fast dive. I mean, I would think
it dropped out of the air. And not only that, it was completely decimated. There was nothing left. Now, Colonel Towner said something very interesting here.
Oh, please share, because I did not.
This was at Edwards.
Yes.
Edwards Air Force Base. She says the only B-52s are the 419th Flight Test Squadron out of Edwards. What were they testing? So think about this. They could have been going on a mission to go test a new ordnance, a new weapon system, something of that nature. It completely eviscerated on impact. That's kind of odd. What happened here? Now, what's also interesting is the celebration on various different Signal and Telegram chats of Mossad people saying that they did it. Now, who has been telling you for the last 8 years that there's technology out there? You have line of sight, directed point, where you can point directly at a plane and you can make it drop out of the sky. It's a directed energy EMP weapon, and they can completely shut down a plane mid-flight and drop out of the sky. And we've seen a lot of these over the course of the last decade, specifically in California as well, with a lot of the test ranges and test flight ranges. Now, I'm just speculating here. I don't know. But I think that Colonel Towner is onto something. What were they testing? And if they were testing something or carrying something, who did not want that to be tested or carried out of there?
Yeah, and that's kind of where my thought process went, man. We're talking about a B-52 Stratosphere. Like, you're talking about the best of the best when you're talking about crews. Like these guys are so good. They can unfuck any situation. They're that good. Now, granted, nothing's impossible. There's just something to this that doesn't resonate with me as
well.
this is
Dropping
just-
out of the air at that acceleration. I mean, look at that plane. You got 4 outboard engines, right? That means that you have to have 4 individualized engine failures to drop out of the sky that fast. That plane can run on one of them.
Eight military veterans, folks, that lost their life in that incident right there. I was wondering if, speaking of, infrastructure or software, that I wonder if their equipment was sabotaged by backdoor access. I don't know. Israel's pretty pissed with Trump right now, bro.
That is, and did we say that what happens when things go bad for Israel? Watch out, something's going to happen. So,
yeah. Other than that, man, that's all I got. I enjoyed the conversation tonight a lot.
Fun, yeah.
You did a good job of definitely articulating what's going down with Israel, Turkey, Iran, us, that whole region, man. I like when I come away and learn a little something too. Especially, I didn't catch that part until you pointed it out when Trump's like, I put him there. Like,
well, and by the way, I want to clarify that was December 2024, so it was post-election that Assad was overthrown, and Jolani came in 2025. So Trump was in power and position when Jolani came in. Assad was just taken out in 2024, which we know Trump directed, and that other countries were a part of it. Russia, I think, was a part of that, by the way.
No, we called that one from the beginning. That we knew that one was coming down the pipeline like that. So, but again,
good buddy, Putin.
It is, bro. What do you got that you already did this week? You want to point people to, or what do you got coming up?
Daily Dose tonight was okay. Last night's Daily Dose, if people want to go out there, they want to just get a deep dive into everything that was happening with Iran, Israel, all of this stuff, more in depth than we went in tonight. Go watch yesterday's Daily Dose episode. I did like an hour just monologue, just talking about all of this and the history of all of it and how it all integrates together. It's definitely a banger and how it all really comes together. And it's like an hour and a half show. It's one of the longest that I've done on the Daily Dose in a while. And then Wednesday night, tomorrow night, I got my live Q&A after my show. So hopefully people can go join us over there, redpills.tv. So
what time are you doing that Q&A?
Tomorrow night will be at 9 Central.
9 Central, 7 my time. I think I'll jump in that one with you for a little bit. I'll be about 30 minutes late because I'll be wrapping up the Gladio with Colonel. But
all right.
I'll jump in. That'll be fun. I enjoyed the Q&As, and it's been a minute since I've been in there with one. So I'll join Josh tomorrow. You guys over there on his channel. So make sure you guys go and subscribe to that if you haven't already. Monday's Just Alpha was solid. It was fun. It was a banger. As always, it's a marathon at just about 3.5 hours, and then we actually did part 2 today, which ran us about 2.5 hours. So we got about 6 hours of some good interesting content there. So when you guys have time, you're not watching some Badlands stuff or some of Josh's stuff, definitely can use you guys to go in and watch the replays and give me your feedback. The other thing that I would definitely appreciate and encourage you guys to do, Josh has a YouTube channel. Josh, what's the name of your YouTube channel?
Shit, you're gonna make me go look it up.
Well, he's looking up his. My YouTube channel is at the Alpha Warrior Show. Let me double check that too.
I'm putting mine in the chats for everybody. It's Red Pills TV, REDPILLS TV, but it's just youtube.com /@ Red Pills TV, and you can just type in Red Pills TV usually, and I should come up.
And yes, there is a the. So over there on YouTube, mine is at the Alpha Warrior Show. But go to mine and Josh's YouTube channels, and if you guys can do just a solid and subscribe, follow, go hit the thumb on a couple of the shows that you might like, especially if they're ones you've already seen on Rumble or a different platform. We can really use your guys' help to grow on YouTube. There's an audience over there at YouTube, folks, that we need to reach. A lot of these people that are supported by the establishment, a lot of these people that are supported by the Mockingbird media or plug in whatever nefarious outlet you want, they have these people pushing them in the algorithm. They have, these people that are, doing what they got to do, these analytics to make sure their content gets seen. We don't have that. We just have our good old elbow grease of work and research, and you guys are our audience. So we really do rely on you guys for your assistance. And for those of you that are over there watching us on YouTube tonight, thank you. We appreciate that. If you can go and also follow us on our channel, since you're already over there on YouTube to begin with, we would appreciate it. Other than that, make sure you guys tap into this Thursday, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, Overwatch and The Guardian. It's a show that me and Josh do, and you guys will enjoy that one as well. Other than that, that's all I got, man.
Up next, after Iran, Cuba, and cartels. Get ready. It's coming.
Cartels are pissed right now.
Oh, they have no idea what's about to happen to them.
There's TA is distributing death threats to Border Patrol military personnel. They're pissed.
They are about to absolutely get annihilated.
They are going to try to pick a fight at our southern border. They're going to get their ass.
They're not even going to make it up.
Well, they won't. I agree with you. They're gonna load their trucks. This is how base Trump is. Trump's going to be watching them through, the Mar-a-Lago situation room, right? Because we know that's where it takes place because the White House is compromised. He's watching there. He's going to be like, let them load all their logistics. I want to watch them sweat. And then once they're done loading, he's going to be like, now blow them up while they're tired. That's what's going to go down, bro. Trump's the boss. You guys, if you haven't done so already, Deadwood, the Great American Restoration Tour, June 25th to 28th this year. You're going to get all your favorites. badlandsmedia.tv/events is where you can get some more information. If you can't get there in person, you'll have fun being part of the online crowd. On Thursdays, they've been doing, a lot of the Badlands people have been getting together and doing some of these premium shows for all you that already bought your tickets and your online tickets. So if you haven't done it already, folks, badlandsmedia.tv/events, go and pick it up. And with that, we will catch you guys on the next one. Good night. God bless. And Semper Fi.
The ideas that gave birth to our nation are the ideas that our nation is resistant to right now, and we should talk about that all the time.
In a world where narratives are shaped by corporations and gatekeepers, independent voices matter more than ever. Badlands Media brings together citizen journalists, researchers, and independent thinkers.
The truth is triggering.
Question the narrative. Explore the facts.
It's authenticity, courage, resilience.
Search for the truth others won't.
It's not about being first or being right.
The information war is changing.
It's about being authentic.
Embrace the friction.
Embrace the friction.
Shut the f*** up.
Authentically antagonizing. Join the movement.
I'm going to say how I feel.
Follow Badlands Media.
This is about the future.
The Badlands. What are the Badlands? Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.